There was a panel of Atlanta leaders discussing racism, policing, and how the city can move forward during the Black Lives Matter movement. Hope Ford checked out the town hall meeting tonight. She joins us to break down that conversation. Hope?
Yeah, and there were a lot of important voices on the panel. You had Ambassador Andrew Young, interim Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant, as well as Reverend Dr. Gerald Durley, who's a longtime civil rights activist who worked alongside the late C.T. Vivian for years. And, they talked about the protests that have been happening recently. They talked about police brutality, and they also talked about passing the torch from leaders in the civil rights movement to the younger generations. Dr. Young said law enforcement officers should continue to interact with kids and teenagers in the community to help continue to foster those positive relationships. And Reverend Durley really dove into how effective communication is a critical step in the process.
From the police side and the community side, we must understand each other. We cannot assume what a policeman is doing or assume what a civil rights activist is doing. So to communicate, we've got to first understand each other. Second, we've got to respect each other's differences. Too many times when we don't understand, we don't respect. And then the third thing, which I think is the big bugaboo, we've got to learn how to trust each other.
And it was a very open and honest conversation over about an hour and a half long. And it turned personal at one moment as well. Atlanta Interim Chief Rodney Bryant gave his perspective as an officer and as a Black man.
I've heard a number of people talking about their fear of being pulled over. Trust me, I have that same fear. I really do. When I see the blue lights come on behind me, I'm going through my mental Rolodex to see what happened. But I also recognize, maybe different than some of you all, that generally I have to acknowledge the fact that I have a gun in the car, and I have to have that conversation quickly.
And the panel also talked about allies. They talked about the importance of having people who are not minorities to really help amplify the voices of people of color in the community, and as well as educating themselves on anti-racism.